Yes. Murali, am I audible? Is my video is clear? Murali, audio video clear and the chat box type பண்ணுங்க yes type பண்ணுங்க. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Okay. So all of you are from the first batch, I suppose. Okay, so the first batch has been divided into first batch, batch 1, batch 2, batch 3. Batch 3 is weekend, batch 2 is from 11 to 1:30. Is there any other batch people in your batch? Okay, I was told that only batch 1 students are there whom I'm addressing now. Is there any other batch students here? Please text in the chat box. Batch 5 is also there. Okay, okay. How many? May I know how many of them are from batch 5? Okay, done. Okay, so if you shifted to batch 1, that is fine. Okay, so the remaining classes and all you should attend in their respective batches. Okay, batch 4, batch 5, you've chosen to be in batch 8 a.m. batch. Okay, until polity class is over there. Okay, till the area which so you should manage there. Okay. Okay, you take permission from Shruti. Okay, Shruti coordinator, and then or from Chandru sir, and then you can go ahead. Okay, so we were discussing the preamble. Okay, I would like to say one thing to all of you, my dear friends. For some people, you may think that the polity subject is going slow. That we are dealing with each of the topics in preamble in detail. Okay. If you take the previous year question papers, okay, the key words in preamble has been repeatedly asked. Okay, they have asked about its relevance and they have also asked about its meaning. In prelims examination also, the key words in the preamble, at least 2 questions are being asked regularly. Okay, it's a regular thing from the UPSC. In a worst case scenario also, in a given year, at least 1 question comes from the preamble. And usually that question is interpretation based question. Okay, for example, liberty question they're asking for the past 2 years, it is interpretation based question. Sovereignty based question, interpretation based question. So interpretation based keywords has to be discussed in detail. Okay, so that you can answer properly in the examination, point 1. Okay, second one is, this is a base. Preamble actually tells what you can find inside the constitution. Okay, it is the primary thing. Okay, so the keywords in the preamble is dealt in detail, and there are a lot of freshers also. So when freshers are there, I'm constrained to explain in detail. Even the smallest of words I have to say. Okay, so I'm not shipping any topic. Okay, so those who have already studied, you may feel that I'm a bit slow. Please bear with me for at least another 1 or 2 classes. Then we can go fast. Once we are starting with union and its territory, the class will go fast. Okay, so don't worry. Yeah. Okay. So questions also, we will allocate time for questions. We can answer the questions at the end. Okay. So after 10 o'clock, okay, you can raise the question. Okay. So please, unless I ask some question, please don't use the chat box. Okay. So even if you know some information, okay, please make a restraint. Only when a relevant question is there, you can ask, and that too after 10. Okay. Fine. And then I also request you to listen carefully. Many of the chat boxes, I'm getting a reply. that repeat the same. Okay, it means that you are not listening properly. Okay. So please carefully listen to the class. Okay, you should not get distracted, because if you are listening from home, there's a lot of chance for distraction. And please don't get distracted. Pay full attention. Okay, so if you do that, you will not ask for repetition of explanation. Okay, fine. So today let us talk about unity and integrity under the topic of fraternity. So preamble we have done till justice. So today we are going to talk about fraternity, unity and integrity and dignity of the individual. Yeah, justice is done. So now after justice, we have to discuss unity and integrity. So what is unity? In order to understand unity, we must know what is unity, uniformity. Unity means unity in diversity. Unity means unity in diversity. Whereas uniformity is trying to bring togetherness by alikeness. Okay. So the example for uniformity is China. In case of China, they give preference to a race called as Chinese. Chinese people, even though they look similar, they are belonging to different race. The majority race is Chinese race. Okay, they are given importance. They are given the importance. And then the Chinese language has a lot of dialects. Okay, dialects means regional variation. Mandarin, okay, is one of the subjects, okay, or one of the dialects. So Chinese government give importance to Mandarin. Okay. Then the one political ideology, communist political ideology, no other political ideology is accepted, and only one political party is there, that is Communist Party of China. Okay, no other political party is allowed in China. And if you see, the Tibetan people, okay, in China is being suppressed. They're not allowed to follow their culture. They're asked to follow the mainstream culture of the Chinese people. And likewise, there is a region called the Xinjiang region, okay. Okay, where Uyghur Muslims are larger in number. Uyghur is a race, Muslims is the religious community. So Uyghur Muslims are not allowed to practice their religion or their tradition. Okay, they are being controlled by China. Okay, so of course, the other side, China is also having some problem with these people. Okay, because Xinjiang region is contiguous, okay, continuous to India, Pakistan, and Afghanistan. Especially Pakistan and Afghanistan, there is terrorist issue in Xinjiang region. Okay, that is why Chinese government is trying to make some alterations in that region. Okay, so anyway, our point is here, okay, when we are trying to bring uniformity, okay, togetherness by alikeness, okay, which means people should belong to the same community. It is called as uniformity. But what our constitution says, our constitution is asking for bringing unity, not uniformity. Our constitution is trying to bring unity, not uniformity. Meaning unity in diversity. It means that, okay, you will allow to have your national identity as well as your sub-identity. The national identity is Indian. Your sub-identity is that you belong to a particular religion, you belong to a particular caste, you belong to a particular linguistic group, maybe speaking Tamil, Kannada, Telugu, okay, or Hindi. Okay, so you belong to a linguistic group. You may be belonging to a tribal group. Okay, you may be belonging to North India, South India. Okay, or you may be belonging to Anglo-Indian community. Okay, so now the point is unity in diversity means, okay, you can have your national identity. Excuse me. At the same time, you can also have the sub-identities. You can have national identity as well as sub-identities. For example, in case of interview, okay, especially they ask this question, okay, so people coming from Tamil Nadu and Karnataka, Maharashtra, for that matter, Punjab also. That whether you are an Indian or a Punjabi, whether you are Indian or a Kannadiga, whether you are Indian or a Tamil, okay, like that, a question will be put. Now, what would be the ideal answer? The ideal answer would be Indian Tamil, Indian Kannadiga, Indian who is speaking Marathi, Indian who is also a Punjabi. Some people, okay, would say that I am Tamil speaking Indian. Okay, now it is actually trending, okay, in the social media. T-shirts have come out, okay, so telling I am a Tamil speaking Indian and other things and all, okay, as a part of countering the forceful implementation of Hindi. Okay, whether it is correct or not, that is a separate discussion. Okay, so some people say that I am Tamil speaking Indian. Whether that statement is correct or wrong, you should not, in interview or mains examination, you should not put that phrase, because okay, the country and the constitution allows you to have sub identity, meaning you can be a Tamil person, you can be a Kannadiga, you can be a Maharashtrian or a Punjabi. Okay, so you maybe belong to any one of the identities. You can keep that identity. You can be proud to be belonging to a linguistic group. You can be proud to be part of a religion. You can be proud to be a particular caste. But at the same time, you should be, proud equally as well as more than your sub-identity. You have to give importance to the national identity. Okay. So when it comes to the national identity or national interest versus your regional interest, for example, there is something good for the country and something good for the state. What is good for the country has to remain. Okay. What is good for the country has to stay. Okay. Your national identity becomes priority. Remember that. Keep that in mind. Okay. Some people would give an answer, sir, if they ask whether you are an Indian or a Kannadiga, say that I am an Indian. That also, will be equal to uniformity, which means that, you are sacrificing your own, sub-identity. Okay. So telling that, or you are conveying the meaning that in order to be an Indian, you should not be belonging to any religion, any caste, any linguistic group like that. Okay. But, that is not possible. Like human beings has multiple identities, we cannot. Just imagine a situation, you're going for a World Bank interview. There they're asking whether you are an Indian or a global citizen. You will say that I'm an Indian as well as a global citizen. Or you will say that I am a global citizen who can work for the people of the entire world. At the same time, I'm coming from India. I'm an Indian and I'm proud of that fact. You will be putting that, right? So supposing I say that, no, I'm not an Indian, I'm a global citizen, which means you are subsuming your identity for a job. Okay. So, okay, need not, leave your sub-identity. Okay. At the same time, whenever there is a conflict between national identity and your sub-identity or national interest versus your regional interest, national interest will prevail. That is what we call it as unity in diversity. You can have your differences, but unity should be emphasized. The word unity comes first. So we are all one, and we are all belonging to India. Okay, is the concept of unity, even despite of differences. Okay, and your differences will be respected and recognized. Very important. Okay, respected and recognized. Whereas in case of uniformity, okay, there will be an attempt for elimination of differences. As I told you, Tibetans and the Uyghur Muslims are not allowed to practice their own culture. Okay, they are trying to be uniformized. The Chinese government is trying to eliminate the difference, elimination of differences. Take Sri Lanka's case also. Okay, in Sri Lanka's case also, the Sri Lankan government is talking about primacy to the Sinhala race, Sinhalese language, and Buddhism as the primary religion, and even Hinduism is being persecuted there. Okay, most of the Tamils belong to Hinduism. Okay, but still they are not allowed to practice their culture, or they are not given political independence or political space in Sri Lanka. Okay, so they try to eliminate the differences in Sri Lanka. So Sri Lanka and China both follows uniformity. But in case of India, we follow unity in diversity. Most of you may think that, sir, when China and Sri Lanka is doing that, why can't we do that in India? Why can't we follow the uniformity? We cannot do that because, India is a land of diversity. Okay, in terms of religion, we are diverse. Okay, so 20% are belonging to non-Hindus, 80% are Hindus. And remember, people are different in basis of language. Okay, so we have, people who have speaking different language. Okay, people who are belonging to different caste groups. Okay, people who are belonging to different sects within religion. Also, we don't have single religion. Each religion has multiple sects, subdivisions among themselves, whether you take Christianity, Hinduism, and Muslim. Okay, so it's not just religion. That within that they have a lot of sect. Okay, subdivision. So there is diversity. Okay, India is a multicultural and a diverse country. A country like India, it is difficult to eliminate the differences. So the best way, the best path that can be followed practically is to respect the unity and respect the diversity, as well as recognize the diversity while being united. And that is the best possible way practically. Even ideally also, okay, across the world, those countries which has practiced unity and diversity has sustained well. I can give the example of Belgium. Belgium's capital is Brussels. Brussels is declared as the capital of European Union. Why Brussels has been selected as the capital of European Union? Because Belgium is the most peaceful country with less internal conflict. Okay, in all other countries there are internal conflicts, okay, regularly, but in case of Belgium, the conflicts is less. Okay, so seldom we see Belgium in the newspapers, right? Okay, if time permits, after the class, you Google about Belgium and study about it. There are multiple groups. Okay, there are Danish speaking people, French speaking people. Okay, and people from various races also. Okay, so entire Europe have settled in the Belgium. So we will have people from various nationalities: Portugal, Spain, France, Germany, Poland, UK. Okay, and the central independent states like Slovenia, Slovakia, Czech Republic, Belarus, okay, which is in news currently. Last week, Belarus, which is in news. So Ukraine, all these countries, they have settled their population in the Belgium. So rightly, European Union has chosen Brussels as the capital. Okay, and they respect unity in diversity. Okay, in fact, they have a very innovative concept called as cultural government. Cultural government. Okay, so every group follows a culture to regulate and protect that culture. Okay, every group will have its own cultural government. For political aspects and social aspects, economic aspects, separate government. Okay, that is collectively elected by people. And there is cultural government to take care of their cultural aspects. Okay, so they are able to peacefully live with coexistence without any internal problem. Okay, so that is why India also adopted unity in diversity. Okay, so any doubts in this? Any doubts? So now let us talk about integrity. Okay. Integrity. The word integrity means undividedness. Okay. When we say a country is having integrity, okay, the country should not be divided into multiple countries. Okay, the country should be kept united. The country should be kept united. So the word unity always comes with the word integrity. They do not write unity and integrity separately. If you read the preamble, okay, they use the word unity and integrity. In newspapers, wherever you go, also, always the word unity is written with the word integrity. What is the meaning? When unity is unity in diversity. Integrity means, okay, do not allow the differences. Not allow the differences divide us. Okay. Not allow the differences to divide us. Unity in diversity, and not allow the differences to divide us. Okay. See, as I told you, you can be a Muslim as well as you can be an Indian. You can belong to scheduled caste and you can be an Indian. You can be a tribal and still be an Indian. You can be speaking a particular language and be proud of that language, and you are still Indian. Okay, just because you're proud of your sub identities, you cannot be denied of Indian. Or we cannot say that you are anti-national, you are anti-Indian, you're not an Indian. Okay, but at the same time, if you're using this religious identity, language identity, or caste identity to divide the country, you're saying I am speaking Tamil, so we will have a separate country for Tamils. I'm speaking Punjabi, we are all Sikhs, we want a separate country like Khalistan. Okay, or we are all speaking Kannada language, so we will have a separate country. Muslims are coming and saying that we all follow one religion, so let us have a separate country. So all these things are what trying to, increase the gap between the differences. Okay, you are giving more importance for the differences, and you are undermining the unity. You are trying to use the differences to divide the country. Okay. So that is why the word integrity has been introduced. Okay, and they say that integrity means undividedness. You should not allow the differences to divide us. And remember, the word integrity has been added by 42nd Amendment Act. Integrity is added by the 42nd Amendment Act 1976 by Indira Gandhi. Already we have seen in secularism why Indira Gandhi added the word socialism, secularism, and integrity. Socialism to counter left-wing extremism, we know. Secularism in order to counter the right-wing extremism. The word integrity has been added to counter extreme regionalism. Okay, so what is extreme regionalism? Asking for a separate country based on regional identity. Example, Tamil Nadu and Punjab. Tamil Nadu, 1960s. Punjab in the year 1980s. Okay, so they're asking for a separate country. Okay, so that was countered, okay, by the word integrity. Okay. And yeah, recently, they're talking about Hindi imposition. So, sir, does it mean that, we are not allowing the differences to exist? Okay. So, remember, the government wants to make Hindi as the official language and as a lick language, okay, between the countries, sorry, between the states, So, the bureaucrats and the politicians has to, okay, use Hindi in order to communicate. And if you see Article 351 also, it says that Hindi should be enriched with the 22 scheduled languages of the country. Okay, what are the unique things and vocabulary and the syntax that is used in the 22 scheduled languages should be incorporated into Hindi. Hindi should be enriched, and that Hindi shall be used as a official language, a language of communication between the governments. Okay, so that is the mandate of Article 351. Now, what happens is they do only one part, okay, trying to spread Hindi, but there is a very less effort to enrich Hindi by getting the inspiration and knowledge from the 22 languages that has been part of the schedule. Okay, so that is a different story, but the point is, even Article 351, when it speaks of spreading Hindi, it talks about unity and diversity. While we should have one particular language for communicating between the states, that language should be enriched by the 22 different regional languages, which includes, starting from this thing, starting from Gujarati, Marathi, okay, both yeah, Odia, then Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam, Kannada. Okay, so all the languages, are there in 22 languages in the schedule 8, and these languages, unique techniques and their ideas should be incorporated into Hindi, and that Hindi shall be used as an official language. Okay. So we will see further when we come to official language, in detail later. So as of now, since it is related to integrity, I spoke on that matter. Okay. So unity and integrity is over. Anybody who's having a doubt? Now let us talk about dignity of the individual. Dignity of the individual. So what is dignity? Dignity is self-worth, the value an individual has. Okay. Self-worth gives you self-respect. So many a time, whenever we ask what is dignity, the answer I get in the class is self-respect. Okay, of course, okay, you are correct. Okay, so don't worry, these article numbers and all will come again and again in the class. Okay, supposing you miss some article, don't worry about it. Okay, content is more important than the article number. Okay, so the article number that I was referring to is for Hindi is article 351, 351. Please listen carefully, okay, because numerous times I repeated, but still you are asking to repeat. Please listen. Dignity is self-worth. Self-worth gives self-respect. Okay. Supposing there is a beggar, you will not respect the beggar because you feel that he is worthless. He is worthless. Okay. Supposing there is a person, who's insolvent, who is not paid his debts back, you don't respect him because you think that he is not having any worth. So only when your self-worth is there, you will have a respect yourself, as well as social respect will be there, which is others will respect you. Okay, so that is what dignity. And what is the exact value, okay, of an individual? What is the self-worth? Okay, the worth. See, there is a thinker called as Immanuel Kant. See, whatever I talk is related to the subject only. Okay, there is only one student. One student have given a feedback that sir is talking different topics. He's speaking one topic, suddenly he's jumping to some other topic. He's deviating from the subject itself. Okay, I've never deviated from the subject. Remember, any topic I'm talking is related to the main topic. Okay, and since you are all freshers, I have to explain even the smallest word, and any new word is said, I have to give the meaning. So I have to tell the meaning of that word. I have to go and tell the meaning of that and come back and explain to you the main concept. It is not deviating from the topic. It is dwelling in depth in the topic. Okay, so that you get a clear idea. Okay, so those people who think so that I'm deviating from the topic, it means you are not listening properly. Okay, you have to increase your attention span. Okay, you have to keep concentrating. You should not look outside the system. You have to keep concentrating all your eyes on the system. Okay, fine. So Immanuel Kant is the first ethical thinker. You will be reading about him in ethics paper. Okay, in detail. But what is the relevance of Immanuel Kant? He has talked about dignity. Okay, he was the first person who attempted to define dignity. First person to define dignity. Immanuel Kant. Okay, make the correction. It's double M. While talking about the self-worth of the individual, dignity of the individual, he says any living things and non-living things, everything has a worth. Okay, any living things and non-living things as a worth. Okay, so what is the worth of a living thing? Especially human beings, it's invaluable. Okay, priceless. Invaluable. If you take a commodity, for example, you have a mobile phone in your hand, there is a worth of that mobile phone. The cost of the mobile phone is its worth. The laptop is there. Okay, the cost of the laptop is its worth. Okay, so when you fix a price value, okay, to a commodity, to a non-living thing, that is the value, that is the worth of that product. Okay, whereas human beings has a worth which should not be fixed by price. Okay, and human beings should live a meaningful life. Very important. Then only they have their self-worth, they have dignity. What is that meaningful life? Okay, one has to live for oneself. It's not selfishness, one has to live for oneself, meaning if you do an activity that should be beneficial for you, you should do an activity that should be beneficial for you. So what would be laws of dignity? Laws of dignity would be when you're monetized, when the human worth is monetized. Okay, worth of an individual is monetized. Next is when one is forced to work for the benefit of others. One is forced to work for the benefit of others. Okay, so the thing is, supposing there is a bonded labor. Bonded labor are made to work for the benefit of the master. Slaves, slaves are forced to work for the benefit of the masters. In case if they are not working, they will be subjected to violence. Okay. So in case of child labor, they are also made to work for the benefit of the society. Manual scavenging. Manual scavenging. What is manual scavenging? When people are made to clean the human waste through bare hands. Okay. So in villages and all, nowadays it is reduced, but in villages there will be dry latrines. The latrines that we use in home are wet latrines, which means after we complete our morning course, okay, or after we relieve all our human waste, okay, we flush the tank. The water will dispose of all the human waste. But in case of villages, there will be pit in which the human waste will be excreted, and that has to be cleared manually, okay, by the people, and just be shifted out of the uh, town, okay. And the modern times, manual scavenging, you can see the sanitary workers for the Corporation of Chennai, okay, they are cleaning the drainage by their parents, and sometimes people get into the sewage manhole, okay, with the bare body you would have seen, okay, they would enter into the sewage, okay, and they will try to remove the block, okay. So that is why we have all these technology. Even we are trying to reach Mars, okay, we have the modern weapon system, but we are yet to create a technology to clean our mess, okay. And we employ the people, okay, that is called as manual scavenging. So manual scavenging is a kind of loss of dignity, okay. So worth of an individual is monetized, one is forced to work for the benefit of others. Okay, the meaning of the word monetized means fixing money value, okay. When you are fixing money value for the individual, for example, slaves, okay, here the worth of the individual is monetized means when you are fixed with a money value, slaves are fixed with money value, and when women and children are forced into prostitution and the money value is fixed, that is also loss of dignity. So whenever a money value is fixed on an individual, that is a problem. Now you may have a question, sir, IPL is going on and the players are fixed with the money value, whether it is loss of dignity. See, for their talent, money value is fixed. It is not people as such. So after the game is over, they have their own life. They are not controlled by the owners of the IPL teams. Likewise, you work in a company. The company gives you a salary. The salary is for your talent, your experience, and expertise. The company has not hired you completely, which means company does not own you. The company is only asking you to provide the services, and return the company provides the money. Okay, so that's what of an individual is monetized. One is forced to work for the benefit of others. Now you may ask, sir, our parents are working for our benefits. They have this selfless life. So can we say that they lose their dignity? Or can we say that we are exploiting? The other word for loss of dignity is exploitation. Okay. The other word for loss of dignity is exploitation. Okay, so when the parents are working for your own benefit, for the benefit of their children, can we say that children are exploiting their parents? No, because okay, as I told you, force. When one is forced to work for the benefit of others, if somebody is voluntarily working for the benefit of others, okay, like our parents, okay, it won't be loss of dignity or it is not exploitation. Okay, I can even give you the example of army. Army people, you know, they're sacrificing their life for the benefit of country, protecting the country. Can we say they are exploited? No, we cannot say that they are exploited because they are voluntarily, you know, protecting the country. Corona warriors, okay, doctors, nurses, sanitary workers, the bureaucrats, okay, the public officials, you know, day and night who are working to counter the corona. Okay, so they are also called as the uh, uh, corona warriors, and these people voluntarily serve the society. There is no element of forces there. Only when the element of force is there for the work for the benefit of others, it is means that they are exploited. Okay, fine. Any doubts in this? With related to these things, you know, uh, dignity, which is related to the bonds that is created in the private sector. We will discuss that when we come to Article 23. Article 23 and 24 talks about dignity, okay, and it talks about right against exploitation. Article 23, 24. So when we come to Article 23, I'll talk about the bond system. Okay, right now we can hold on to it. Okay, so we have done with the dignity. Okay, so integrity and then dignity is done. Now, what is fraternity? Fraternity is brotherhood. Fraternity is brotherhood. And the word unity and integrity is as well as dignity. Okay, so these words are given after the word fraternity, meaning what? Okay, so only when there is a brotherhood feeling, unity and integrity is possible, dignity is possible. Only when we feel that, think that all Indians are our brothers and sisters, we will uphold the unity of the country, uphold the integrity and dignity of the country. If we are thinking that, you know, I am different and the people belonging to other religion, other caste are completely different, we will never live united. We will say that they should go out of the country. Okay, we will divide the country. Okay, we find that some of the MPs are there, no, they will be saying that, you know, either you accept our idea or you go to Pakistan, you go to Italy, you go to European country. Okay, like that, you know, when people say, actually they do not feel the brotherhood. They don't think that Indians are brothers and sisters. They think people belonging to other community, other caste, other religion, or somebody else, so they should not live in this country. So only when you are having the feeling of brotherhood, that all Indians are brothers and sisters, you will uphold the principle of unity, and you will never do a work which would divide the country. And also you will respect the dignity of the individual. Only when you see a manual scavenger as your brother, okay, as a person, as an Indian, you will be thinking about how to resolve his issue and how to ensure that his dignity is upheld. Okay, and if we are having the brotherhood feeling, we will not discriminate on the basis of caste. Okay, so many that usually, you know, people have this idea that I belong to a superior caste and that fellow belongs to an inferior caste. Okay, so such kind of thinking will come and we will take away the dignity of the individual. We will not give due respect to the individual only when we do not have the fraternal feeling. But here we have a fraternal feeling, automatically we'll give respect to uh, other Indians, okay, our own brothers and sisters. Okay, done. So we have done with the preamble. Okay, now a quick revision. Preamble talks about 4 parts. First part of the preamble talks about source of authority of Indian Constitution. Second part talks about the nature of Indian polity. Third part talks about objectives of the Indian state, and fourth part talks about the date in which we have adopted the Constitution. Okay, so next is we'll have to talk about the salient features of Indian Constitution. Next topic. Salient features of Indian Constitution. Okay, what are the salient features of Indian Constitution? There are many silent features. First, let us talk about federalism. So what do you mean by federalism? The word fidus in Latin means agreement. So any country which is formed out of agreement can be called as a federal country. Any country which is formed out of agreement. For example, USA. So in case of United States of America, there were 13 independent colonies. 13 independent colonies. So these 13 colonies came together in order to be called as United States of America. Now just assume that you are the kings and queens of a small territory of a country, okay, small piece of territory. You are either a king of a small territory or a queen, and you feel that in order to increase the power and in order to have more resources, to have a good place in the world, you want to unite with the neighboring countries. Okay, so you are calling all the kings and queens of neighboring countries and saying that, okay, let us all join together and form one country, and let us have a union government. Okay, let us rule our own territories, but we have a common government at the union, or it may be called as a central government. Okay, that central government can control the entire country. Okay. Now, as I asked you to assume to be kings and queens of these territories, tell me whether you will give all the powers to the central government, or whether you will keep some power to you and some power you will be giving to the central government. Yeah, good. Okay. So I'm getting replies, good. Distribution of power will be done. Very good. You will keep some power and some power you will give. You will not give all the powers to the central government. And moreover, you will think like this also. Okay, what if the central government goes against your interest? You are joining a bigger country. If that government, central government, takes away all your powers or makes you a slave, makes you subordinate, okay, so difficult. So what you will say, okay, not only that I will share power to the center, I want share in the central government also. Okay, I will want a share in the central government also. So representatives from each state will go to the central government, and central government will be managed together by all the states. Okay, together by all the states. So in short, okay, federalism means there will be 2 or more governments, and there will be division of power. There will be 2 or more governments, and then there will be division of power. So in main examination, if they are asking any question related to federalism, okay, the meaning of federalism, the introduction to federalism, you have to write there is division of power. Okay. Only division of power, 2 or more governments, and there is division of power. Okay. So in case of India, we have union government and we have state government. Union government and we have the state government. There is a division of power. Okay, you have union government and state government and there is a division of power. So we have parliament and we have state legislative assembly. State legislative assembly. Okay, this is going to be a problem. Okay, now let us first complete this and come. Okay, so the union government will make administration matters of some subjects, okay, like defense, foreign policy, okay, communication. Like that, some subjects are dealt by the union government. Some powers are exercised by the union government and it is called as a union list. Likewise, state government, okay, deal with police, law and order, okay, deal with police, law and order, health, sanitation, etc., agriculture, etc. So these are all called as state list. Okay, so we have a union list and the state list. Okay, so union list is those areas where the union government can exercise power. State list is where state government can exercise power. Likewise, in lawmaking also, we have parliament and state legislative assembly. The area where parliament can make law is called as union list. The areas where state can make law is called as state list. So any government which is having two or more governments and division of power is called as a federal country. Okay. Then another key word, okay, in federalism is state autonomy. Okay, state autonomy. So what do you mean by state autonomy? States can function by itself. The word state autonomy means state can function. We have autonomous colleges, right? The colleges which can function itself is called as autonomous without the complete control of the universities. Universities will give only accreditation, that is as recognition, and the colleges are allowed to form or frame their own curriculum. Okay, so that is called as state autonomy. Likewise, that is called as autonomy. State autonomy means state government can create a law through the state legislative assembly and implement the decision which is in the state list. They have the autonomy. They have the autonomy because they can function by itself. The central government normally cannot interfere. I'm using the word normally. So there are exceptional cases. Leave that exceptional cases. We'll see later. Normally, central government will not interfere in the actions of the state. Okay. What is the significance? In case of Unitary form of government. The opposite to federal form of government is unitary form of government. Okay. There is no division of power. There is no state autonomy. There is no division of power. Even, usually in case of unitary form of government, mostly single government. Okay. Mostly. Mostly single government. Mostly single government. Some of the time, there will be two or more governments in the unitary form of government also, but the state government will act as an agent of central government. Agent of central government. State government act as an agent of central government. State government acts as an agent. Meaning what? State government cannot function by itself. They have to wait for the central government's order, central government's direction, and they have to do that. Okay. Otherwise, it is a problem. Okay. So I think now you have understood the concept of federalism. The concept of federalism means simple. There will be two or more governments and there will be division of power. Memorize it now itself. Now itself memorize. Federalism means two or more governments and there is division of power. And then state autonomy will be there. Now, my dear friends, there will be a chance that you may confuse between these words. Division of powers. Division of powers. Separation of powers. Once again, I am not deviating from the topic. I am talking about this topic because you may get confused when the word federalism is asked in the prelims examination. Okay, so I've reviewed the past 20 years prelims question paper and then only taking the class. So please understand. Division of powers, separation of powers, and devolution of powers. So usually we find these words in newspaper also, as well as in the question paper. Okay. So division of powers means division of powers between union government and state government. As I told you, when a country is formed, okay, out of an agreement, there will be sharing of power. Okay, so that sharing of power is what we call it as federalism. So that division of power between the central government, union government, and state government, okay, is called as federalism. Separation of powers is, okay, where the power is distributed between executive, legislature, and judiciary. Distributed between executive, legislature, and judiciary. Separation of powers means distribution or distributed powers which are distributed between executive. So we are saying that legislature will make law, executive will implement law, and judiciary will see that whether the law is created and implemented properly by executive and legislature. Okay, we will be allowing that work for the judiciary. Okay, so that is what we call as distribution between executive, legislature, and judiciary. What is devolution of powers? Okay, devolution of powers means when one power is transferred from one government to other. Supposing if central government is transferring one of its power to the state government, then it is called as devolution. Okay, while the first two is division of powers, the third one, devolution, means transfer of power from one government to the other government. Okay, fine. Now, after seeing all these things, we must see, what about India? When generally federalism is called as, a country which is formed out of agreement, India is a country which is not formed out of agreement. First, India was established, then we federated. Okay, the meaning of the word federated means we have creating into small countries. We are creating one big country, India. From that, we are creating small countries. So India was established first, then we federated, then we divided the country for easiness. And why federalism? Very important question. Why federalism? Can anybody answer this question? Yes. Why federalism? Due to diversity. Very good. Okay, for ease of division of power is because of diversity. Very good. To avoid concentration. Enough of answers. Okay, I've got enough of answers. So federalism is to address diversity. India is a very diverse country. So each state has different needs. So according to the needs of the state, decision has to be taken. So that is why India has to adopt federalism. Even though India has been created as one whole country, India has been created as a one whole country. Because of diversity, we said, okay, each of the state can decide on your matters. Central government will not interfere. Okay, in fact, because of federalism only, India's unity has sustained. It has strengthened the Indian unity. When would a state will want a separate country? When will a state will say, I want a separate country? The state will go for a separate country. The state wants to establish a separate country only when their interest is not satisfied, when their needs are not satisfied, when they ask for something and it is not granted by the government. But when we have a federal government, every state having its own government, most of the needs of people are satisfied easily. The needs of the state is addressed to. So automatically there is no need for people to ask for separate country. So federalism has strengthened the Indian unity. If not for federalism, okay, there would have been a damage to the Indian unity. So wisely our fathers of the constitution has gone for decentralization. Okay, federalism. Okay. Now we have to talk about uniqueness of Indian federalism. Okay, uniqueness of Indian federalism. So there are 4 points, okay, which talks about the uniqueness of Indian federalism. One is Indian federalism is federalism with strong center. Second, Indian federalism is flexible federalism. Third is Indian federalism is cooperative federalism. Then fourth is Indian federalism is asymmetric federalism, or in simple words, okay, in simple words, it is called as unequal federalism. Asymmetric federalism, and it is also called as unequal federalism. What do you mean by federalism with strong center? I told you there is division of power between center and states, but when we compare to the power of the state, central power is higher. Okay, so the union list is around 96 subjects. Union list is about 96 subjects. The state list is around 65 subjects. See the number of subjects that union list is having. Subjects means areas of administration. I repeat, subjects means area of administration. Which are the areas like foreign policy, communication, currency and all is with the union list. So they are called as subjects. So 96 subjects are with the union. 65 subjects are with the state. Okay, so we call union list and state list. Union list is more than that of the state list. Union list is more than that of the state list. Okay, so we call that as a federalism with strong center. And there is another list called as concurrent list. So what is concurrent list? Okay, concurrent list means the list in which both union government and state government can concurrent list is the area in which the union government and the state government can together administer the law, or for that and make law. Okay, they can make law. So concurrent list is those areas where both the government, union and state government, can make law and implement them. Now, in case there is a conflict between parliamentary law and state legislative assembly law, which one will provide? Parliamentary law will provide. Once again, here also there is an exemption. Leave the exemption. I'll talk about that later when the state law will provide. But normally, parliamentary law will provide. Over state law. Okay. Parliamentary law will prevail over the state law. So here also, it means that the central government is stronger. Then we have a power called as residual power. See, we already have union list, state list and concurrent list. Many subjects are listed in this union list, state list and concurrent list. But at the end of the day, remember residual power. That is, some subjects might not have been listed at all in the constitution, some subjects. The subjects which are modern in nature, for example, information technology, robotics, artificial intelligence, surrogacy. Okay, so a lot of things we can keep on saying. So all these things are not mentioned in the constitution. The constitution is not allocated which government will decide on robotics, artificial intelligence or information technology. So those subjects which is not mentioned in any of these lists, okay, shall be called as residual power. Okay, residual power. Okay, or we can say remaining power. Residual power can also be called as remaining power. That is the power which is not listed in any of these lists. And the residual power lies with the center. The residual power lies with the center. The residual power lies with the center. Okay, then there is Article 352. I hope you all understood residual power. Residual power is remaining power. Those areas which is not listed in any of the list, and that residual power lies with the center. Now, very important point is in other federal countries. So what is the meaning of the word uniqueness? Uniqueness means it is different, or it is happening only in India. Okay, it is different from other countries. Normal federalism will not have these features. Only Indian federalism will have these features. That is why we call it as uniqueness of Indian federalism. Okay, and here in normal federalism, generally the state list will be more than the union list. In India, union list is more than state list, but in normal federal countries like USA and Australia, state list will be higher than the union list. And concurrent list, whenever there is a conflict in concurrent list between parliament and the state legislative assembly, state law will prevail. Example, Australia. In fact, the concurrent list is inspired from Australia. Okay, and parliament law will prevail over the state law, and residual powers usually will remain with the state. For example, USA, the residual powers will be remaining with the United States of America. Okay, residual powers will be remaining with the United States of America. Okay, in fact, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, okay, will be asking for residual powers with the state. We'll be saying that, either you give residual powers with the state or we are creating Pakistan. But Nehru and other leaders like Patel, Prasad and all, they said, no, we cannot go for residual powers with the state. We want to give residual powers to the center. Okay. Then, Article 356, presidential rule. Presidential rule, separately I will take class. Okay, the class will be taken to you. So right now, what is presidential rule? When the central government feels the state government is not working properly, they can remove it. For example, now central government feels the state government is creating some trouble, okay, or it is not working according to the constitution, they can remove the state government of Tamil Nadu. They can dissolve the state legislative of Tamil Nadu and go for the imposition of presidential rule. When presidential rule is imposed, there is a direct control of the central government. Direct control of the center over the state. Direct control of the center over the state. Article 356. Okay. So when we say central government can remove the state government anytime by Article 356, okay, it gives immense power to the central government to remove the state government. So what happens? The central government becomes strong. Central government becomes strong. Okay, so we have a federalism with strong center. Now the question is why? Why federalism with strong center? Very simple. We experimented with federalism. Okay, we already discussed that federalism is adopted because we wanted to give each state, okay, each state okay, each state has their own interest, wants and needs. To satisfy that, we have federalism, but this may lead to division of the country. Okay, when you give excessive independence for the state, giving that state is completely free to do whatever it wants, a state may declare independence. Okay, they may say that, we are forming a new country, we are going out of the Indian Union. So in order to avoid that, only we have a federalism with strong center. So to keep the states under the control, at the same time, we are also giving federalism, but we are having federalism with strong center in order to keep the states with the Indian Union, to ensure that states are not getting separated. Okay, so that is the reason. Okay, fine. So this is regarding the federalism with strong center. Okay, so next is flexible federalism. There is Article 352, which talks about national emergency. Okay, national emergency, meaning whenever there is a war, okay, with other countries or some armed rebellion, okay, some group of people taking up arms, say Naxalites are taking up arms and fighting the Indian country, or people of Nagaland, okay, there is a insurgency outfits in Nagaland and other states. So when they come and fight the war, okay, when they come and fight the war, national emergency can be declared. Okay, so at that time, federal form of government will be changed to unitary form of government. Federal form of government, okay, can be converted into unitary form of government. In case of normal federal countries, the countries are always federal. But in case of India, we have a flexible federalism. The word flexible means change, meaning that the country can convert itself from federal form to unitary form of government. So normal times federal, there is division of power. When I say during emergency we become unitary form of government, there is no division of power. State government and state legislative assembly will become subordinate to the center. See, remember, in Article 356 presidential rule, state government will be abolished, state legislative will be abolished. But in case of flexible federalism, okay, the state government will be there, state legislative assembly will be there, but they will be subordinate, they will be agents of central government, because we convert ourselves from federal form of government to unitary form. Okay, so that is another uniqueness of Indian constitution. Then cooperative federalism. Cooperative federalism. Okay, cooperative federalism means cooperation between the center and state. Okay, so to understand cooperative federalism, you must know what is competitive federalism. You must know what is competitive federalism. So unitary government means center has complete power, not more power. In case of India, we have federalism with a strong center. Okay. In case of unitary government, okay, unit government means the central government will have full powers. State government has no autonomy at all for unitary form of government. Next, in cooperative federalism, okay, sorry for explaining. Cooperative federalism. What is competitive federalism? Competitive federalism is like central government is trying to take the power of the state government and state government defending it. Okay. I'll repeat, competitive federalism is central government trying to take the power from the state government and state government will defend it, will fight for it. Competition for power. For example, there was a Gutka case. Sorry, let us talk about West Bengal, the Sarada scheme. Okay, so there was some chit fund scandal. So CBI started the inquiry. The CBI wanted to inquire a IPS officer. Now, when CBI entered into West Bengal, the West Bengal government said that you don't have right to come inside. So now the central government, is trying to take the power of the state, okay, without consulting the state, because police is under the state government. Okay, so without consulting, they're trying to come inside. Then the state government is defending, telling that the central government should not enter into West Bengal because police is a state subject. Without their permission, a police officer cannot be interrogated by the CBI. CBI is a hand of central government. Then GST is another example, goods and services tax. Earlier, sales tax for goods was collected by the state government. Now it is collected by the center. Sales tax is collected by the center. So now central government wanted to take the power of the state government. Many state governments resisted. They said that we will not allow. So even currently there is a crisis, right? Many state governments is asking the central government to give their due in GST, give the compensation amount in time. What is the compensation amount? Okay, because the central government took the power of the state to collect sales tax, the state governments lost their revenue. So now central government said that for five years, I will compensate it for you. Okay, like that central government has given a promise. Now central government is not able to follow the promise. That is why states are demanding. So competitive federalism is competition between center and state. They'll be competing for power. They won't think about what is good for the people. Rather, they will be concentrating on securing power. Central government will try to take more and more power, and state government will try to avoid that power. Okay, or they will try to defend the central government's effort to take power from them. Okay, so that is called as competitive federalism. Okay, so to counter competitive federalism, okay, whenever there is a conflict, I said competitive federalism is conflict between center and state. So whenever there is a conflict between center and state, the Indian Constitution, okay, talks about center-state relation chapter. There's a chapter in Indian Constitution or a part in Indian Constitution. It talks about center-state relation. The entire chapter talks about how to resolve the conflict between center and state. Okay, so when the conflict is resolved, there is cooperation. So the center-state relation chapter is helping people to cooperate, helping the union government and the state government to cooperate. Okay, so center-state relation chapter avoids competitive federalism and creates an atmosphere for cooperative federalism. How to cooperate, or how the central government can cooperate with the state government, is being spoken in the center-state relation. Okay, so newspapers sometimes, you will find the other meaning for competitive federalism. Okay, competitive federalism means competition between states. That is, if state of Tamil Nadu is there, it should compete with the state of Karnataka. It should compete with the state of Kerala, Andhra Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat, etc., etc. All the states. Okay, so that it is able to increase its own quality. For example, day before yesterday, they came up with a survey telling that which state is in what position in education. So as usual, Kerala is in the first position. Astonishingly, they say Andhra Pradesh is in the last position. Okay, fine. Now the point I'm trying to put across is competitive federalism is also known as competition between states. But that is the present meaning given by our Prime Minister and the present ministers. Okay, so in case if they're asking what is cooperative federalism, at that time to explain cooperative federalism, you have to define competitive federalism as competition between the center and the state. I'll repeat, whenever they're asking question related to cooperative federalism in mains, you have to write cooperative federalism is evolved as against competitive federalism, which is conflict between center and state. India, when it wrote its constitution, they studied the various federal structures. They studied the US federalism, Australian federalism, and they found that in US and Australia, there is one big problem. Okay, there is always conflict between the center and state. Competitive federalism was there. So to counter this competitive federalism, a cooperative federalism was established. Okay, then competition between states. When they're asking question about Niti Aayog or they're asking about GST Council, at that time, okay, we can say GST Council and Niti Aayog is helping a tool of cooperative federalism as well as competitive federalism. Cooperative federalism is cooperation between union and the state. Okay, and then competitive federalism means competition between the states. So you have to take the meaning of the word in terms of, you have to take the word in terms of the context. Okay. So there is one question dealing with COVID and Epidemic Act is also competitive federalism. Yes, health is a state subject. Health is a state subject. Okay. Health is a state subject. So what happens is the central government during the epidemic is taking control over the state or issuing guidelines to the state. Okay, so that is an exemption provided by National Disaster Management Act and the Epidemics Act. Okay, so here it is a case of competitive federalism, but it is allowed by the Indian Constitution. Okay, so it's not bad to the people. So the parameter with which you have to see a concept, whether it is cooperative federalism or competitive federalism, is whether it is useful for people. If it is useful for people, we don't question it. If it is creating trouble for the people, then we will be questioning it. Okay, so got the point? Okay, fine. So now next is we have asymmetric federalism, which means unequal federalism. No, there is one question, sir, whether dealing with the current final year examination, is that competitive federalism? No. Okay, because, okay, as per the constitution, education is in the concurrent list. So both central government and state government has the power to deal with the education. So we cannot say that it is competitive federalism. Whenever there is a conflict between central government and state government, central government prevails over. Education is in concurrent list. Okay, so the central government is rightfully using its power. We cannot call it as competitive. Only when central government is touching the area of the state government, state list, and try to take that power, it is called as competitive federalism. Okay, so what do you mean by unequal federalism? Okay, unequal federalism means, okay, the states are not equal. Not all states are equal. In India, states are unequal, meaning some states are more powerful, some states are less powerful. Okay, some states are more powerful, some states are less powerful. For example, we have special status. Earlier, we had special status for Jammu and Kashmir. Okay, which means it enjoyed more autonomy. Then we had special provisions, okay, for northeast states. We had special provision for northeast states. Some special provisions like states like Gujarat, Maharashtra, recently Karnataka, Andhra and Telangana. So I'll put etc. Karnataka, etc. Okay, they all have special provisions, some special provisions. What are these special provisions? We will see later. But as of now, okay, these states has some special provisions. Okay, so for example, if you take Maharashtra, no, they have an area called as constitutionally recognized backward areas. Okay, constitutionally recognized backward areas. Meaning, there are some areas, for example, in Karnataka, the Kalyan Karnataka part, okay, that is northeastern districts of Karnataka. It's called as Kalyan Karnataka. It is less developed compared to rest of the Karnataka. Karnataka, southern Karnataka is more prosperous, okay, compared to the northern Karnataka and northeastern Karnataka. So the Karnataka Hyderabad region, or otherwise it's called as Kalyan Karnataka, is constitutionally recognized backward region. So the amount for its socio-economic development, okay, or funding for its socio-economic development will be decided by government. Decided by governor. Okay, I'll repeat, they will be decided by governor. In other states, funding for socio-economic development of all the regions, entire state is decided by chief minister. But for states like Karnataka and Maharashtra, for their backward regions, is decided by governor. Okay, so the power of the state government is reduced. Okay, and we have scheduled areas. Scheduled areas are areas which is dominated by the tribal group. Scheduled areas are those areas which is dominated by the tribal groups. The tribals are living. Okay. So in scheduled areas, the administration is done by governor, sometimes president. So you for now just remember governor. Whether a law is applicable in the scheduled area or not is decided by the governor. So the state legislative assembly of such states, SLA of such states, will have less power. Imagine a state, Chhattisgarh. Imagine a state, okay, Chhattisgarh, there is a scheduled area. There is state legislative assembly of SLA, okay, of Chhattisgarh. They are creating a law. Whether this law will be applicable in the scheduled area or not will be decided by governor. Governor decides. In other states, whenever a state legislative assembly is creating a law, it is applicable through the entire state. If you take in case of Tamil Nadu, okay, in case of Tamil Nadu, when a state legislative assembly is taking a decision, a law is created, it's applicable throughout the state. So there is no scheduled area in Tamil Nadu. Okay. So the states are not equal. Some states are more powerful, some states are less powerful. Okay. And moreover, very important point, in Rajya Sabha is also called as representative of states or council of states. Okay, states as their representation in Rajya Sabha. In Rajya Sabha, allocation of seats is unequal. In case of UP, the number of seats, okay, the Uttar Pradesh is having is 40. Okay, so Uttar Pradesh has 40 seats in Rajya Sabha. Tamil Nadu has just 18 seats because population. Okay, then if you take Mizoram, Goa, only 1 seat. If you take Kerala, only 9 seats. Okay, if you take Karnataka, 12 seats. Okay, so what happens is, okay, so the total number of seats is very, very less, okay, in the Rajya Sabha for smaller states. For bigger states, the number of seats allocated is higher. So not all the states are equal. Larger the state, larger will be its voice. Smaller the state, smaller its voice. That is why if a political party concentrates only in UP, Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan, they will win the national election. Okay, they say that the road to Delhi is through Lucknow. I'll repeat, the road to Delhi is through Lucknow. Meaning, if a person is able to get larger number of vote share in UP, that person, that political party can form government at the center. That is why whether it is Congress or BJP, they both concentrate on UP much. And UP is very happening place in the country. Okay. Any doubts? Okay, so we have done with the concept of federalism and unique point of federalism. A quick revision: federalism means two or more governments and there is division of power, and state autonomy will be there. And we have four unique points in the federalism. What are the unique points in federalism? First is federalism with a strong center. We have a flexible federalism, cooperative federalism, and unequal federalism. Yes, Adesh is asking whether we can give Jammu and Kashmir example for special status. We can say earlier Jammu and Kashmir had this special status. Okay, so that is why we call India as asymmetric federation. We can put it in the past tense, and then we say right now there is special status for other states also. Jammu and Kashmir is not the only state with special status. We must remember. Okay, that is a lie that is told to you all. Okay, Jammu and Kashmir, along with the northeastern states, Gujarat, Maharashtra, Andhra, Telangana, all have their special status. Only thing is, the Jammu and Kashmir special status gives more autonomy to Jammu and Kashmir compared to other states. While the special status for other states like northeastern states deals with small areas, Jammu and Kashmir gives more autonomy. Okay, unlike other states, that is the only difference. Otherwise, okay, our constitution talks about asymmetrical federalism only. There is one another question why Andhra is why Andhra Telangana was divided. That will be discussed in next chapter, union and its territory. Okay, now we will have a very short break. Okay, for 5 minutes, 5 minutes break. Okay, because we have seen all heavier concepts. Okay, so next is parliamentary form of government. We have to see. Okay, so. Let us go for a short 5 minute, exactly 5 minutes. When I say 5 minutes, 5 minutes, please come back. Okay, then we can discuss. Okay, there is a question, sir. Can we say that, the silent feature? So can we say present Kashmir situation for presidential rule? No, Kashmir earlier had presidential rule. Now it is completely changed into union territory. Right now we don't have presidential rule in Kashmir. And another person has asked, sir, that's it under silent feature of, we have even more. Yes, we have just seen one part in the silent feature. Under silent feature of Indian Constitution, we have done with federalism. There are other silent features which we are going to see after the break. Okay. So in case of United States, okay, some of you are asking, in case of US, how it is. In case of United States, state government has more list. Okay, state government has more list. And concurrent, there is no concurrent list in USA. Okay, so any conflict between central government and state government will be dealt by the Supreme Court of USA. Okay, so they resolve the issue in the court of law. Residual power is with the states. Okay, in case of USA. Okay, okay. There was some technical issue. Okay, fine. Let us start. So next is parliamentary form of government. The parliamentary form of government is otherwise called as responsible government. What do you mean by a responsible government? A government which takes appropriate decision or correct decisions. Okay, takes correct decisions for the good of people. Okay. It won't take irresponsible decision. Okay. So no wrong decision or no hasty decision. Okay. So responsible government. Responsible government is one which does not make a wrong decision or hasty decision. And how to ensure, okay, a government is not taking any wrong decision or a hasty decision? You have to make the government answerable. You have to take a government answerable. And now just imagine a scenario where your parents are, now imagine a scenario where your parents are giving you some packet money. If they are not asking any question, just imagine that parents are not asking any question. You are left to spend the money for yourself. Okay, you're free to do that. Initially, you will spend money for the correct purposes, but as days goes, there is a chance that you may spend the money for uh, unwanted or useless things. Sometimes, you may spend that money for, okay, high risk behaviors. Okay, when I say high risk behaviors, those behaviors which would affect your body, mind, and your life. How to control? Okay, your parents need not, be very rude towards you, but just simply they ask, what have you done with the money that has been given, whether it was enough for you? Okay, what are the things that you have purchased from that money? Like that, simple questions is asked. Now whenever you are spending, you will think twice before spending, right? You will think twice before spending, because anyway you have to answer, you have to give answer to the, okay, anyway you have to give answer to the parents. Okay, so since the parents has to ensure that you're not falling into bad habits and other things, they have to keep asking question. So when they ask question, you are become responsible. So answerability. Okay, a government will be a responsible government when it is answering. And how we can make this thing answerable? Okay. By making the MPs question. MPs can ask question. And ministers should answer. MPs can ask question and ministers should answer. Okay, where the MPs can ask question and the ministers should answer. Okay, in parliament. Okay, this is how we call it as a parliamentary form of government. This is the purpose of parliamentary form of government. We have a parliament In parliament, we can make a responsible government. How we are going to make a responsible government? By asking the MPs to ask questions and ministers should answer. Okay. Now, when the questionnaire is being cut, many newspapers are writing that democracy is at peril, parliamentary form of government is being attacked, because, okay, the very purpose of questionnaire is you will allow the MPs to ask questions and ministers should answer. The MPs can ask questions and ministers should answer. There are people who are asking my view. Okay, remember, when I take class, I have to talk about the constitutional morality and constitutional view. Okay, so I will be telling you what actually is expected in the constitution. The constitution demands that the parliament has two functions. One is lawmaking, and then making the government accountable. And suspending the questionnaire is absolutely undemocratic. Suspending the questionnaire is absolutely undemocratic. The very purpose of parliament is lawmaking, one. Okay, then is to making the government accountable. If there is no questionnaire, there is no questions asked by MP and ministers need not answer. So there is no use of parliamentary form of government. Okay, why should we elect 545 MPs, the representative of the government? The MPs are responsible to people. People will ask questions to the MPs. The MPs should ask questions to the ministers. Okay, if questionnaire is taken away, Indian Parliament will become like the National Congress of China. The National Congress of China or National Parliament of China is like a rubber stamp. Whatever executive is saying, the law will be passed. The purpose of having parliament is to have a debate on every action of the government and every law made by the government. Okay, so as I told you, parliament has two functions. One is making law, keeping the government accountable. Okay, fine. From this, okay, we are now going to detect three principles of parliamentary system. Three principles of parliamentary form of government. Three principles. See, first I said that a government should be making or giving answers to the questions raised by the MPs. Now you have to create a mechanism to ensure that there is a platform for MPs to raise questions, ministers to answer, that is parliament. Now supposing you have doubts in polity and I have to answer, okay, so I have to be present in the class. Okay, either I have to be present in online class or offline class. If I'm absent, you are still raising the question, nobody is there to answer, then your questions will never be answered. So we want to create a situation where the ministers always attend the parliament. We want the ministers to attend the parliament. So then only ministers can answer the questions raised by MPs. So the first principle of parliamentary form of government is members of the government should be members of the legislature. Members of the government should be members of the legislature. When I say legislature, it involves both Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha. Okay, so a minister should be either a member of Lok Sabha or he should be a member of Rajya Sabha. If you are not an MP, the person cannot become a member. Okay. So in between, once again, I have to tell what is this legislature and government. We have Lok Sabha. The MPs of Lok Sabha are elected by people. Okay, and we have Rajya Sabha. Rajya Sabha is Council of States. The Council of States is elected by State Legislative Assembly. So the people send MLAs to State Legislative Assembly. The people send MPs to Lok Sabha. The State Legislative Assembly also select members to Rajya Sabha. They are also called as MP. From Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, okay, if Lok Sabha has 545 members and Rajya Sabha has 245, now it has changed. Okay, so Lok Sabha has 544 and Rajya Sabha has 245. Yeah, it's the same. Okay, and Council of Ministers, Prime Minister as well as Council of Ministers. Okay, so they are formed from Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. So in order to be a Prime Minister and Council of Minister, okay, COM, Council of Minister, you need to be a member of Parliament. Only an MP can become. Supposing the present Prime Minister or Council of Ministers is losing their MP post, they can never continue as the ministers. So if you want to be a member of the government, that is, if you want to be a minister, you should be a member of the legislature, either Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. Same in the state level. If a person wants to be a chief minister or council of minister, they should be an MLA, member of legislative assembly. Then only they can become. Okay, why is it this mechanism? When the ministers are also members of parliament, whenever parliamentary session is there, they have to attend the parliament. Why they should attend the parliament? Because they should answer the question raised by the MPs. Now, that is why I said when questionnaire is cancelled, actually democracy is being violated. The very essence of parliamentary form of government is gone. Okay, government can work without any accountability. Okay. Now, yeah, some of you are not listening. That's why, in case of accountability, somebody is asking what is accountability. Accountability means answerability. Just now, that is why I'm coming with a flow. Okay, first I told what is parliamentary form, what is a responsible form. Responsible means answerable, and answerable government is accountable. Accountable means they should be giving answers. They should take responsibility for what they are saying. So, accountable government is answerable government. Okay, by making the government to answer, we are ensuring the government is acting according to the needs of the people. Government is explaining why it is doing an action. Okay, so accountability is what kind of answer? Okay, so any decisions taken, the government should say why the decisions have been made. Okay, such government is called as an accountable government. Okay, and was one of you have raised, okay, so whether it's Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, it's Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. And you cannot be a double member. You cannot be a member of both the houses logically. Okay, so that is why I used the word and. Okay, hoping that you understand. Okay, but still, okay, so to be grammatically correct, Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, members of the government should be members of the legislature, Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. And you may ask, sir, the present External Affairs Minister, Jai Shankar, he was not a member of parliament at the time of being appointed as the External Affairs Minister. That is an exemption. Okay, and 6-month exemption is given that we will see later. Don't worry about that now. As of now, remember, we are studying parliamentary form of government. So in parliamentary form of government, members of the government should be members of the legislature. Please don't make any annotations, any drawings on the whiteboard, please. Okay. Next is the tenure. The next principle of parliamentary form of government is the tenure of the government is dependent. Lok Sabha. The tenure of the government is dependent on the tenure of Lok Sabha. tenure of government is dependent on the tenure of Lok Sabha. The third principle is the tenure. I'll explain. First, you write down the tenure of the Lok Sabha is dependent on the government. Have you done copying? The tenure of Lok Sabha is dependent on the government. Okay. So now the tenure of government is dependent on the tenure of Lok Sabha. What does it mean? Which means as long as the Prime Minister is having majority, okay, that is say 273. 273 MPs, the Prime Minister can stay in the office. If the Prime Minister does not enjoy the majority, or if the Lok Sabha is passing a no confidence motion, okay, there is a motion called as no confidence. Okay, very simple. I told you MPs will ask question, ministers will be answering. What if minister is not giving correct answer? Okay, if minister is not giving correct answer, the MPs will say that we don't have confidence in the government. This government is lying. This government is hiding something. So they may be doing something wrong. They are not a responsible government. They are not an accountable government. They are not a correct government. They may be doing wrong. They may be doing wrong to the people. Okay. So the MPs can initiate a no confidence motion. Okay. No, telling that we are not confident with the ministers. If no confidence motion is passed, government has to go. Government to go. Which means government will be removed and they will try to form another government. That is why the tenure of government is dependent on the tenure of Lok Sabha. That is why we are saying the tenure of the government. Okay, when I say government, it is Prime Minister and Council of Ministers. The Prime Minister and Council of Ministers stay as long as they are enjoying majority in the House. Okay, for example, Rajasthan, it happened, when some MLAs in Congress said that they will resign, there was a chance that the Ashok Gehlot government has to go. Okay, it will be, yeah. Now the tenure of Lok Sabha is dependent on the government, which means if Prime Minister Modi thinks, okay, fine, the MPs are not supporting us, so let us close the government. Like that, if he is, thinking, then the Prime Minister can remove the Lok Sabha. The Prime Minister can remove the Lok Sabha, or he can dissolve the Lok Sabha. And Prime Minister is asking the President to dissolve the Lok Sabha, the President has to dissolve the Lok Sabha. So that is the meaning. The tenure of Lok Sabha is dependent on government. Government can anytime dissolve the Lok Sabha. Okay. But in reality, this will not happen. In reality, this will not happen. Why? Okay. In fact, before coming to see why it will not happen in reality, why the tenure of Lok Sabha is dependent on government, that we have to see. Sometimes the Prime Minister will want, an important action to be done. Okay. But Prime Minister cannot act by himself. He should act The prime minister should act, but only based on law, because there is a concept called as rule of law. The concept called as rule of law. What is rule of law? Any action done by the government should have approval, prior approval. Or in other words, the government cannot act without a law. Even the prime minister, if he has to do some action, he should show some provisions of the law. The law should have authorized. Based on that only the prime minister can act. Okay, rule of law is opposite to rule of men. Okay, rule of men. What do you mean by rule of men? Okay, when a single person or a group of people take decision according to their standards, without debating in parliament, okay, then that is called as rule of men. Okay, so laws created a large body. Okay, that is Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha comes together and they create a law, a rule, and that rule is implemented by the prime minister. Then you call it as rule of law. So it is the law which is managing the country, not the individual. The individual administers the law. Okay, we will say that law is ruling and the executive, that is the prime minister and his council of minister executive, is administering the law. Meaning what? Already law is existing, that is implemented. Whereas rule of men means, okay, rule made by one person or a small group of people. Not parliament, small group of parliament. Rule of men is one person or a small group of parliament. Oh, sorry, I'm really sorry, people. Okay, it is not a parliament. Okay, so rule of men is very bad because we don't know what men will do at times. Parliament means in parliament people discuss, deliberate, and then finally create the law. Okay, so such law will have some kind of goodness. Okay, we can ensure that the law may not be arbitrary. Maximum time it is not arbitrary. But rule of men can be arbitrary or unreasonable many a time. The word arbitrary means unreasonable. So once again, in newspapers you will find this word arbitrary. It means unreasonable, without reason. Okay, done according to one's wish. Okay, so why I have to talk about rule of law is because when prime minister wants to implement something, prime minister needs law. What if there is no cooperation from the legislature? If Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha is saying no. Okay, so what the prime minister can do is dissolve the Lok Sabha. When Lok Sabha is dissolved, the PM should also resign. When the PM resigns, there will be fresh elections. This order. After the fresh elections, the prime minister will go to the people and appeal, telling that these people did not help me, so don't elect them. Give me a higher number. Okay. For example, $273 is the number required to form government. What if the prime minister is having 271 MPs? Two people are supporting from the independent party or some other party. And all the time, the small party or independents are creating trouble to the prime minister. Whenever he wants to make decision, they are creating trouble. The prime minister can dissolve the house and call for a fresh election. Okay, in the elections, he'll go to the people and say that give me a higher mandate, give me 300 plus, so that no small party or independents are threatening me. I'm able to administer this country effectively. Okay, because there is no cooperation from the legislature. So people may give a higher mandate. Okay, in case people are giving higher mandate, once again, the Prime Minister will form the government, a new government, and he can effectively administer. Okay, but practically it will not happen. Practically, this will not happen because I told you, no, let's see the second principle and third principle, again. The second principle is government's tenure is dependent on Lok Sabha. Third point is Lok Sabha tenure is dependent on government. See, when government's tenure is based on Lok Sabha, means Lok Sabha can remove the government by passing no confidence motion, but they will not do, because if government goes, alternative government has to be created. If alternative government is also not be able to create it, alternative government is also not be able to be created, what can be done? If alternative government is also is not be able to create it, there will be fresh elections. Okay. So an MP will not vote for a no confidence motion because he has to face the election again. For example, you take Tamil Nadu's case. After Jayalalitha's death, we found that most of the ADMK MLAs, they did not go for factionalism. They supported one person to be the leader. What is the reason they supported one person to be the leader? Because they wanted to complete the 5-year term. And Ms. Jayalalitha was there. There was they were able to get votes based on her face. Now after her death, they were not sure whether they will be getting re-elected. So at least for 5 years, they want to rule and later on build confidence among the people. So everybody supported one leader. Okay, because if they have not supported the leader, the government would have gone. Okay, then there will be a fresh elections in which the MLAs has to stand afresh. Okay, so that is why they chose to stand by that one leader. Okay, fine. So governance tenure is Lok Sabha, then it's fresh election. Then Lok Sabha is, in case of Lok Sabha, if the Lok Sabha is removed by the government, say Prime Minister Modi and his Council of Ministers is removing the present Lok Sabha, they have to once again face fresh elections. Any government will try to complete its 5-year term. They will not call for a early election. Okay, rarely they call for the early election. Okay, so in both cases, second point and third point can never happen. Okay, so when will government will take away the Lok Sabha? When will Lok Sabha will remove the government? When there is a conflict. Only when there is conflict between the two. But if there is a conflict between government and Lok Sabha, both will go. Conflict between the two will kill both government as well as Lok Sabha. Kill both government as well as Lok Sabha. In case it kills both Lok Sabha and the government, both will not go for the conflict. So what is possible? Cooperation. So ultimately we can define parliamentary form of government. Interdependence and coordination between executive and legislature. Okay, parliament form interdependence and coordination between executive and legislature. Why they have to coordinate? Why they have to be interdependent? Why we are calling that they are interdependent? Because Lok Sabha can remove the government can remove the Lok Sabha. So for the existence of Lok Sabha and the government, both needs each other, so they are interdependent. Since they are interdependent, they cannot conflict, they can only coordinate, they should cooperate only. So coordination between executive and legislature. When there is coordination, whenever prime minister wants law, the legislature will create a law and give. Whenever prime minister wants law, the legislature will give the law. So prime minister can smoothly run the administration. So prime minister can run the administration in a smooth manner. Okay. So we have completed what is parliamentary form of government, but we need to compare it with the presidential form of government for further understanding. And we must know why parliamentary form of government is for. Okay, so that we will do it in the next class. Right now, you can ask doubts. Okay, now we can start the doubt clarification session. Okay, so any doubts that you have, you can ask. See, the tenure of Lok Sabha is dependent on the tenure of government. It is both government as well as tenure of government. Okay, supposing if the government's tenure is over, okay, Lok Sabha also will be dissolved. No, kitchen cabinet and rule of men cannot be the same. It may be have some shadow of rule of men. Okay, but because kitchen cabinet also know when they make decisions, that decision should be approved in the parliament. Okay, so it is not rule of men. So there is a question, can you please quote any example or case study like conflict arising between government and Lok Sabha and how it is ended up in, see, there is no chance of conflict. If there is a conflict, both will die. That is what I'm saying. The principle of parliamentary form of government, okay, says that the government can remove Lok Sabha can remove government. That is a case of conflict. But that is not practically applicable, or practically it won't happen, because okay, both will kill themselves. Okay, it's like shooting on the own leg. If government removes Lok Sabha, government will go. If Lok Sabha removes government, Lok Sabha also will go. So an action against another will be like action against themselves, so they will not do it. Ultimately, it results in the cooperation. And then there is a question, who will implement the rule of men? Okay. See, remember, rule of men, best example is monarchy or Saudi Arabia, where law is not there. It is the government which creates the rule. If when king says something, that becomes the order of the day. So that is the example for rule of men. Democracies do not follow rule of men, we follow rule of law. Which means for any power exercise, suppose tomorrow you are an IAS officer, you cannot act according to your wishes. You can exercise power only when it's granted to you, only when the parliamentary law or state law is granted to you. Now, Sibi Adesh has asked, can presidential order be seen as rule of men? No. Presidential order, or we can say that generally presidential order is rule of law only, because the president may issue order based on constitution has authorized him or law has authorized him. Without constitution as law has authorized him, if the president issues an order, then it is rule of men. I'll repeat, Sibi. Listen, presidential order, supposing we are creating a law and saying that president can issue orders in these areas, and the president is issuing order, then he is following rule of law. But when president is issuing an order by himself without any authority of law, then it is rule of men. So some person is asking, sir, what is start question and is unstart question? Okay, so that will be explained in parliament. Anyway, since you asked the question, I will explain now. Start question will require reply by the minister, oral reply. All questions will be replied. Start question, oral reply. Unstart question means written reply only. Okay, the reply will be submitted to the speaker. The MP can take it from the speaker. Okay, so if the MP wants an oral reply, then it's start question. And supplementary question also can be asked, which means after the minister is answering, you can ask extra questions to the minister. Supplementary questions can be asked. Whereas in unstart question, it is not possible. can we say that UP is not divided into 3 or 4 states only because of political motivation? It is the reason for its poor development. There is one question. Can we say that UP is not divided into 3 or 4 states only because of political motivation? It is the reason for its. No, it can be given as one reason. Okay, UP being a bigger state is one of the reasons is poverty because concentration is not possible. As I told you, when there is a large landmass, diversity will be there. The diversity should be addressed. UP being a larger state, it is not able to address the needs of all the districts. Okay, so that is the problem. Whether it is political motivation, uh, you know, uh, in a way we can say there is no political will to divide UP. Okay, Uttar Pradesh, for political reasons they want to keep it together. Okay, so we can say that there is lack of political will to make that division. Sibi is asking, is there a possibility of, example of president creating an order beyond the powers given by the constitution? There has been instances, okay, when many ordinance has been issued or many orders have been issued by the president and been struck down by the court of law. There are many examples. Whenever president goes and creates an order beyond the powers given by the constitution or law, the judiciary will strike it down. There are ample examples, a lot of examples are there. For example, National Judicial Appointments Commission, the judiciary thought it is beyond constitution, so it was struck down. Okay. So likewise, any action of the state, the judiciary can strike it down. It would be better if you ask question from the day's class. Okay. So anyway, there is one question that if state legislative council is again brought to Tamil Nadu, then will the bill should be passed in parliament or in state legislative assembly? The bill should be passed in parliament. We will teach that later. Okay. Wait for it. It will come in the future. Okay. Yes. Okay. So there is another question, sir. You said about the tenure of government and Lok Sabha wouldn't have any role with Rajya Sabha. Rajya Sabha is a permanent house. Okay. Only Lok Sabha can be dissolved and only Lok Sabha can take out the government. Rajya Sabha does not have a role in it. Sibyad is asking, so judiciary prohibits rule of men in India. Yes, it is the role of judiciary to see to that the rule of law is implemented. Rule of law is implemented. Okay, the judiciary ensures whenever there is rule of men, they cancel out the rule of men. Orders issued by the rule of men. We will study about state legislature. There is some differences. Shiva has asked, sir, state legislative councils like Rajya Sabha, are they permanent? State legislative council and Rajya Sabha both are permanent. That is the only similarity. And otherwise they are different. What way they differ, we will discuss in future classes. Why Tamil Nadu is ignoring Hindi? That is a big history. Okay, even from 1920s. Okay, there has been agitation against the imposition of Hindi. Okay, so generally, Sanskrit and Tamil is considered to be the classical languages, principal classical languages of our country. Okay, these two languages have existed for more than 2000 years. Okay, they have a very good literature. Okay. Yeah, you have to say this answer only. Interview panel answer only you have to say. Okay. I'm not giving my personal opinion. I am always conscious that, whatever I say, you will repeat the same thing in the mains paper and the interview. So I'm giving you the interview panel answer only. So it is a long history where Sanskrit and Tamil has and there is been an history in Tamil Nadu where the advent of North Indian rulers have changed the language. Okay, so there is a period called as Kalabras period from 3rd century to 5th century, in which many Sanskrit words has been already added to the language Tamil. Okay, so immediately as a reaction to it, okay, historically people started to develop and preserve the language, and they did not want the intervention of the Sanskrit language. And later on, Hindi, which is having the domination of Sanskrit. Okay, Hindi is a mixture of Urdu and Sanskrit, we can say. Okay, so historically, people of Tamil Nadu feel that when impact is given, or when Sanskrit and Hindi is once again being utilized in Tamil Nadu, it may corrupt the language. It may add more of the Sanskrit and Hindi words within the usage of Tamil. Okay, so that is why there is a overall agitation against the language. And moreover, people feel language is equal to culture, culture is equal to knowledge that is attained. So when the language dies, the associated knowledge of that society also dies. That is why there is kind of non-acceptance. Okay, and moreover, the people of Tamil Nadu is again anti-forceful imposition of Hindi, not as such against Hindi, because those people who have registered themselves to learn Hindi in Hindi Prachar Sabha is highest in Tamil Nadu. Okay, and there has been no single protest against a Hindi Prachar Sabha in India. Okay, so you are asking for mail ID. That is, okay, function of Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, and the State Legislative Assembly. All our legislatures, we will be separately seeing what are their functions later. Now, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha creates union law and makes the central government accountable. State Legislative Assembly makes state government accountable. Okay, so any other doubts, you can raise it in my mail ID. Okay, any other doubts? Any other doubts? Okay, thank you. So I leave the meeting. Okay. We will see in the next class.